Dear students, taking while to start the recording, so just hang on. Yeah, it started now. Fine. So I was asking you about the discussion that we had last time. So quickly, can we have the revision what we did last time? Anyone who is remembering the last session? Is my screen visible? Am I audible, guys? Kindly acknowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what we discussed last time? Unit 5, right? We started the discussion with the string class, as well we had some discussion regarding the wrapper class also, right? And last session we discussed about string builder and string buffer class. Can you tell me the difference? And we have seen the various methods available in string builder class and string buffer class, such as append and insert, length, character add, capacity, toString, reverse, trim, substring, set length, all these were the methods which we discussed in last session. So what is the difference? We said string is immutable, whereas string buffer is mutable, right? And we say string is slow and consumes more memory, right? Whereas string buffer is fast and consumes less memory. And apart from that, we said string class overrides the equal method of object class. So you can compare the contents of two strings by equals method, whereas string buffer does not override the equals method. So this was the difference between string and string buffer. Along with that, we learned the difference about string buffer and string builder class, right? And we said string buffer is synchronized and string buffer is non-synchronized, right? So that's why string buffer is thread safe, whereas builder is not thread safe. We said string buffer is less efficient than the string builder, whereas the string builder is more efficient than string buffer. So this was the discussion last time, and today we will move ahead with the new content. And today's discussion is about inheritance. So like when we have started this chapter, and even in our starting lectures, initial stages, I have already given the basic definition of inheritance. So any one of you just tell me, what do you mean by inheritance? Anyone, any rough idea you have? I don't want technical definition. Anything which comes in your mind when I say inheritance. What is inheritance? We said object-oriented programming is having certain features, and from that, inheritance is one of the striking features. So what is it? Somebody is typing in the chat. Can you unmute
Ma'am,
yourself and
properties
tell
and
the definition?
hello, ma'am.
Parth says inherit. Yes, Vipul, go ahead. Yes, Vipul, go
Ma'am,
ahead.
properties and behavior of parent class.
Exactly. And Parth is also saying inheritance inherits the property of parent class. Deva says one object acquires the property of parent class. Exactly. So this is the little bit idea that you people have about inheritance, and today we'll go ahead and discuss more about inheritance. So when I say inheritance, normally like many literature mention it as parent-child relationship, or we can call it as a superclass and subclass relationship. Yeah, Parth, exactly. Child can access the parents' functions, or we can say methods, right? right? So we call it as a parent-child relationship, or at times we call it as a superclass and subclass relationship, right? So as the basic definition, you all are clear with it. But can anyone tell me why we need to do so? What is the need to do such thing? Why we need inheritance? Now see what happens at times. We will have certain classes when we develop a software. Let us say we have a class which is named as user. Fine. And let us assume that we have user name, password, and email, mobile, all this thing coming with the user, user registration. These are the general property of all the users. Now, if I classify the users of a particular system, let us say we are talking about our portal, MEFGI portal, right? If we say we have MEFGI portal, we will have users, or we all are users. We have password, email address, mobile number. We will have address. These are the property which is common to all of us, right? These are the object property which is common for all of us, right? But there will be certain properties which will be specific to a particular kind of user. For example, if you are student, you will have your result, you will have fee payment status, paid or not, right? These are the property which are specific to students. If you see these property, this is not available with the faculty members. Instead, faculty members will have a special features, such as we will have salary, we will have specialization, right? These are the things which are not there with the students. Usually students do not have any specialization. They have department. They don't have specialization. Whereas in a faculty member, even if they are belonging to particular department, for example, IT department, each of us will have the specialization, such as some of us is master in cloud, some of us is having good creep on machine learning, some of us are like good with the data mining. So this is called specialization. Fine. As well the salary. But if you see these features, these are common for everybody, right? These features are common for everybody, right? So what we can do is we can create parent and child relationship, or we can say superclass and subclass relationship. When we are doing so, the class which has been inherited from the superclass will acquire all these property. We call it as a generalization. Along with that, child will have the certain specialized feature which are not there in generalization, and which makes these class different from other class of its label, right? So if we say like student and faculty are two different classes, these are the two different classes, then what is happening is user is the generalized class, right? And from user class, we are going to have the inheritance of all these property into the next class, right? So if you see, this is something like tree kind of structure. We will have this as a generalized one. From this, we can have the down arrow, and we will have one child class and another child class, right? Now, these both are the child class, faculty and student. That's why these result and fees are not available with faculty. As well, faculty salary and specialization is not available with the student class. Now, what is the benefit of doing the inheritance? For applying the inheritance, what is the benefit? The first benefit is we will have the proper classification of object, which will make your object maintenance easy, right? So it makes the software maintenance easy, right? Another thing, we'll have code reusability, right? And when we have code reusability, why code reusability? Because suppose we have certain methods which are associated to access these properties of class user. Now, when I am creating an instance of student, for example, students registration is happening, right? As well, now some new faculty is joining. For newly admitted student and newly joined faculty, these things will be same. These things will be same, right? So what we can do is user registration method we can use in both. We can use in both. Along with that, only certain extra information is required to maintain it, right? So whatever is the process, we have written the code for registration here. That method can be easily implemented or used here without writing the code. We can just use the inheritance application we can apply. We can use the keyword extends, and all the methods will be available to be used here in all the both the child class, right? So we have code reusability, and when you are having code reusability, the thing which is already developed and now you are reusing. Reusing means you are second time using the same code without writing the code, right? So what we call it is a code reusability, which will lead the faster software development. Because many of the code which is similar or repeated kind, you can use it in a child class and you have to just worry about only newly added feature. Fine. Is it clear why we need inheritance? Inheritance is needed because we want to go for the parent-child relationship or superclass and subclass relationship. We are doing so because we want to have the classification of object in order to provide ease of software maintenance. As well, the major application is this one, to have the code reusability. And when you are having code reusability, the development span or the period of developing that software will be reduced. So it will lead to faster software development. These are the two strong reasons why we need to go with the inheritance. Now, inheritance is the property of object orientation, and that's why it is equally applicable to all the object-oriented programming language such as C++, Java, Python. Everywhere we have this concept, right? Now, we will learn, this is theory about inheritance. Let us explore a little bit more, right? What we say is, we say inheritance, object-oriented programming allows you to define new classes from the existing class, right? This is called inheritance, right? Whereas in the procedural paradigm, we focus on designing method, right? As we said, C program, we were focused on designing the functions. You were not much worried about coupling the data and objects behavior together, fine? Whereas in inheritance is a very important and powerful feature for reusing the software. As I said, reusability, code reusability, right? As well, inheritance enables you to define a general class. As I said, generalization, the top class, user class, right? So we call it as a super class, and later extend it to more specialized class. First, in general, we all are user of MEFGI portal. And now I'm making it new specialized by giving certain features which are not there with the rest of the user of the system. For example, result and fees payment are the special function. Even semester, you can say, is the common between the faculty and student, because I teach in 4th semester and 6th semester, though the role is little bit different. Fine. So specialized classes are called the subclass. A superclass is also referred as parent class or base class, and a subclass is referred as a child class or extended class. So these are just the similar names. So just remember it. If we say certain terminology, we will have generalized class. It is also known as superclass, also known as parent class, also known as base class. So don't confuse yourself. All these things are same. The specialized class, right? It is known as subclass because it is derived or inherited from the superclass, right? So we call it as a specialized class or subclass. We also know it as a child class, and sometimes we call it as a derived class. Is it clear? Is it clear, everybody? Right? So there's a major two term, either superclass or subclass, or you can say parent class or child class, right? Right? Now, when I say a superclass, usually all the properties of the superclass will be available into the subclass. So what does it mean? It simply means that a subclass inheritance all accessible data fields. Now there is a limitation. When I say accessible data fields means the permission which you have given, right? All the permitted data fields and methods from the superclass are available. We can access it in the child class as well. We can add a new data field and methods, right? So to do so, we use the keyword exchange. We use the keyword exchange. Let us suppose I have class. Let me show you the example only. Directly we'll go for the example. We are here, unit 5, and let me show you simple inheritance. Right now, what I have is, this is very simple example. We know that all the animals we can put in a one class. So what we'll have is, we'll have class animal, right? So what are the characteristics? All the animal can move, they can eat, right? This is the property. This is the property of the animal. But when I say dog, now I'm making it specialized, right? Again, dog is collection of so many instances, so many objects. Class is what? Class is collection of objects. We have various dogs categories available, right? So that when I'm saying class dog, I'm talking about so many dogs. We're classifying, right? We have one super class or a parent class, which is animal. So animal can be a cow, dog, snake, right? Even cat, all these are the animals. From that, I'm talking about some specialized. So what does it mean? Whatsoever are the characteristics of animal, these characteristics are there in the class dog as well. Dog is having certain characteristic which is specialized for the dog only. Fine. So let us see the example. How can I apply the inheritance? As I say, we can use the keyword exchange. Fine. So we have class animal. Now here we have to, this is your parent class, right? Or a super class. What you can do is, you can just write all the properties. So I have taken here string name. Let us suppose we are giving name to each and every animal. And we say public void eat, because we know that all animals can eat. So eating is a behavior. Fine. And we are just, this is just a random example. So I've just given an like print over there, that is I can eat. This is just a property. Fine. Now, as I said, class dog, what I'm saying is, I'm applying the inheritance. What does it mean? It means that all these properties, data field and method, name is the data property and eat is the method. These both things are available in class dog if I extend it from the class animal, right? What does it mean? Class animal is the parent class and class dog is now child class, because I said class dog extends animal. So we have inherited class dog from the class animal. Now, all these things are already there. Apart from that, whatsoever are the new method in the subclass, we can write it over here, right? We can write it over here. So what we have is, you see, we have taken one method which is display. And we are saying system.out.println and my name is, and we are displaying this name. Now, can you see that the name is the data property, string name, which we have defined in class animal. So here in class dog, there is no declaration of the data property name. But as it is already defined in the parent class, I have extended, or I have inherited the child class from the parent class, I can use it directly. So without declaration, I'm just using the name data field in the method display which is there in the class dog. Is it clear? Is it clear? Along with that, I want to specify one more thing about the classes. Now, be sure that when I'm saying a class, I'm talking about class is an abstract data type, right? When I say class is an abstract data type, what does it mean? The way we have integer A, we can also have class student if I have certain class with its data field and methods. I can create the way I declare the variable for class integer A. I can also declare it for student S. Right? This is same integer A. So now we say A is a variable of type integer. When I say student S, I'm saying S is the object. So we say class is an abstract data type. So whatsoever we have written, the data field and method inside class student, all are applicable to S. Fine. So this is the way we define the or declare the variable or object of a class. Now, when I say class in the literature, specifically in Java and all other programming language, we have one term which we call driver class. Now, what is driver class? Today in the morning in lab we discussed that there could be two types of class. We can say it is an object class or driver class. What is object class and what is driver class? Morning we did it. Who were having the lab? What is driver class? Ramesh is saying class containing main method is driver class. Exactly. So what is the situation right now in this example? You see we have class animal, we have class dog, and we have class simple inheritance, right? So usually the object class describes the entity being managed, right? If you are talking about a software, let us say you are having Book My Show. So film name, seats, cinema name, show timing, all these are the object property or object classes, right? Movie is the object class. Again, if you are booking the ticket, you are user. So user is an object class. But to use all these properties and methods, you require a main method because we know that program execution starts from the main method. So what is driver class? Driver class is a class which is having the main method. Right? Now, along with the object class, there are certain class which are available in the Java API. You can use Java API classes. For example, we have string as a class, we have date as a class, right? So all these classes as well, we discuss about wrapper classes also, right? All the wrapper classes. So all this thing we can use directly inside our main method, right? So the class which is having the main method, we call it as a wrapper class. Other than that, there will be certain classes which is defined by the developer. So we call it as an object class. For example, movie, passenger, if you are having a railway reservation system, then passenger, train, right? Payment. If you are online shop, if you are developing software for online shopping, product, category, order, payment, shipping address, all these are the object classes. And certain Java API classes also you can use directly in your main method. So it is possible that in a single example, either we'll have driver class will make use of the object of object class in order to use it. Fine. So see the example. We are having the file name. If you read it here, it is simpleinheritance.java. What does it mean? File name and class name which is containing the main method should be same. So class simple inheritance is my driver class. Fine. Now over here I have main method, right? And along with that I have two object classes, class animal and class dog. From this, class animal is the parent class or a super class having the data field name and method eat. Okay. Now in class dog, which is class dog extends animal, it may have certain new method or new data field even. It's possible to declare variable and method both in the child class. So here we have a method display. Fine. Now, this child class method can use the data field of the parent class without a declaration because it's already available. All this thing you have to assume that they are available here. Fine. Now, see what I'm doing. I have driver class, simple inheritance. It is having main method. Fine. Now we are creating object of a subclass. Object of a subclass. So what I did over here, I said dog and I created an object Labrador. Right? So I said dog, Labrador is equal to new dog. So this is object of a subclass. If Labrador is the object of a subclass, it can have the access of all the data field and methods of the superclass also. For example, here, name is the data property of superclass. So if I want to use variable name and I want to give certain value, I can do object name dot property. So I say Labrador dot name and I'm saying Scooby. Scooby is the name of dog which I'm giving, a pet name which we give usually. Fine. Along with that, I'm saying Labrador dot display. Now, what is this display? What is display? Display, we know that this is the method of subclass. Fine. And what is eat? Again, this is method of superclass. So when you are doing object dot, you can use the property of both superclass and subclass, right? Is it clear? What is inheritance? What is inheritance? Is it clear? Fine. Major point of the discussion over here is in a single class example, this is my simple inheritance.java. We can have so many classes. Right now we have 3 classes: class animal, class dog, and simple inheritance. Right? I'm saying class dog extends class animal. Right? Class dog extends animal. It means that all the properties are available here. If dog is inherited from the animal class, in the main class, if I create an object of subclass dog, I can access all the properties, data field as well as method from the superclass. Is it clear? Any question, any doubt? Any question, any doubt up till now? Okay, Suchi, Devarsha saying no, ma'am. What about others? So you see, this would be the just a second. Fine. Can you see? My name is Scooby and I can eat. So I can eat is the method from superclass, and my name is Scooby is the display method of subclass. And the name, which is the data property, we have set it using the child class object. Fine. Is it clear, guys? Any question? Any doubt up till now? Should I move forward? Should I move forward? Okay. So as I said, keyword extends. We can write public class extends superclass and then we can go ahead. Fine. So in object-oriented programming, allows you to define a new class from the existing class. This is called inheritance. Very simple definition. Inheritance enables you to define a general class, that is superclass, and later extend with a more specialized class, which is we call subclass. For example, shape is the superclass, and shape could be circle or rectangle, anything, right? So this is what we can say are the example of inheritance. So here is the example again. Geometric object. We will have color, field, and date created. right? Color of the object, by default, let us say it is white. And then we will have a certain constructor, and we can use the getter and setter method, right? So there are another thing also which is associated with your object class. We call it as a mutator method and accessor method. Now, when I say I have object class, what we discussed up till now is, we said in any Java program, when you are developing the code, you will have either a driver class, which is a class having the main method, or you will have an object class. An object class is usually describing the entity being managed by that software, right? Right? Now, let us suppose I'm talking about Book My Show software, and I'm saying class movie. If I have a class movie, I'll have certain data properties such as string movie name, right? I'll have date object, which is release date, and so many other things, right? Now, when we have this thing, this is my object class, because Book My Show wants to manage movie booking, right? So I have a class movie is my object class now. I'm saying that each and every object class will have mutator method and accessor method. In a simple word, we'll have the getter and setter method. Getter method is used to read the value which has been set, and setter method is used to set the values, right? For example, if I say I have public void, let's say set movie name. Let me make it short so that I can just, right? Movie name, right? So I can just pass a string, and I can set the value. So for that, I have to do something like this dot m name is equal to m name, right? Similar way, we'll have the setter method for release date also, right? Fine. So this will set the method, right? Set the data property. Now, along with that, once the property is set, for example, Scooby was the property which we set for the name field of class dog, right? Now, if I want to go with the getter method to read the value, right? I can have the get, and we can say the property name. Okay. In that case, when you want to get something, you will have obviously the return statement. Fine. Same thing, we will have the for release date. But we know that release date will return us a date. So what we are saying is, we are saying that in all the object class, we'll have the getter and setter method. Now, when you have a driver class, let us say we have certain driver class which is having the name main, and we will have the main method in it. Now, what you will do is, inside the public static void main method, to use the class movie, you can just go with the object creation, movie, let us say any movie, we can just say This is just a random movie name, okay? Right? And you can say full 10 stars dot set release date, and whatever you are giving, let us say you are saying the util dot date, okay, util dot date. So what it will do, it will just set the today's date as an today's release date of this movie. Fine. So this is like what you're doing is you are setting up the values, right? You're setting up the values. So this will give you the thing like the management of the objects, property, and all the entities being taken part of developing a particular software in a very easy way, right? And then you can set the scenario, whatever is the scenario. For example, once the movie release date and everything is set, users are allowed to book the tickets, right? So you can create the ticket object, you can create the user object, and then you can allow them to access different data fields, property, and methods in the main class. Fine. Is it clear? Is it clear? Fine. Okay. So in some programming language, at times it happens that you derive a subclass from several classes, and this capability is known as multiple inheritance. For example, let us say you are having parent 1 and parent 2, and then you are having the child class, right? But in Java it is not allowed, right? Multiple inheritance is not supported in Java, right? A Java class may inherit directly only from one superclass. What does it mean? This is interview question, just remember that, right? Java does not support multiple inheritance. We can inherit the Java class only from the single parent, right? So this is known as single inheritance. So the example which we have seen before a few minutes about animal and dog is the example of single inheritance, right? And we can use the extends keyword to do so. Fine. Fine. Now, along with that, there is one keyword which is associated with the concept of inheritance in Java programming. We call it as the keyword super, right? So the super keyword refers to the superclass, and it can be used to call superclass methods and constructors in the child class or in a driver class, right? Whenever we have parent class and child class relationship, what you want to do is you want to access the properties of parent class into the child class. So this we can do with the help of super keyword. Whenever the methods and constructors, now mind well, the constructors are also getting inherited. Fine. What is constructor? Can anyone tell me what is constructor?
Special method that have a name as a class name.
Exactly. Constructor is a special method having same name as a class name. So if I say class animal, whenever I declare an object, automatically the constructors will be call itself, right? And that is called that method will be invoked automatically. We call it as a constructor. So same thing now we are having in the super class and subclass. So you can the uses or the application of keyword super is you can call superclass constructor. This is the first application. Second application is we can call superclass method, superclass constructor, superclass method, and superclass variable. These three things we can call with the help of the keyword super. Look at here. Look at here. What we have here is I have a class A. Inside that I have a constructor, same name as class name. And I'm saying system.out.println inside A's constructor. Now let us assume that I'm inheriting class B from class A. So I have written class B extends class A. And here I'm writing the constructor of class B. So I have same name as class name B. I'm saying system.out.println inside B's constructor. Now, We are creating another subclass extending the B class. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying class B, class C extends class B, right? And I'm saying C system.out.println inside C's constructor. Now, this is my driver class, calling constructors, right? This is my driver class. What I have over here is, I have public static void main. I have public static void main. Inside that, I'm saying C is equal to new C. Now, this is the, I say class A is the grandparent class, class B is parent class, and C is the child class. C is the child class, right? Now what happens? What happens when you call something? When you invoke the super class, the child class, which is having parent class and super parent class, or you can say the grandparent class. At that time, chaining happens. We call it as a constructor chaining, right? Constructor chaining is about when you create a child class object, it will create the memory space for the parent class also. Fine. Now we'll do one thing, like let me just show you that by writing it over here. Otherwise, you will be confused little bit. We are talking about constructor chaining, right? What I said is, we have class A, fine, and inside class A, we have a constructor. Fine. Now what we are doing is, we are creating one more class, and that's the child of class A. So say class B extends A, right? It means B is the parent, B is the child of class A, right? Now I'm creating the third class, which is class C. Which is class C, and we say class C is the child of class B. What does it mean? Class B is parent of class C and class A is parent of class B. So ultimately class C is the grandchild or third level inherited class in this hierarchy, right? Now over here inside main method, what we are doing is, for the class capital C, we are creating an object small c. Right? This is what we are discussing right now. Fine? This scenario. Getting the scenario right now? Example, everybody. Are you getting the scenario? Right? I'm explaining you the concept of constructor chaining. I'm saying that when we have multiple classes which are making a chain, parent class, super class, and starting from the grandparent class, then the parent class, and then the child class. So you see, this way the class object will be created. The constructor will be called. The first constructor which will be called will be the grandparent class constructor. Right? Class A, base class. Class A is having the child class B, right? So after that, its constructor will be called. And then finally, the third constructor will be called, right? Are you getting the chaining of constructors, right? Because this is the method which we gave in the child class, C. C is child of B and B is child of A. So ultimately A is the base class, right? So what we are doing is we are having the output in that order. Is it clear, everybody? What will happen in this scenario is, first, even if we are creating the object of the last class, that is last child class, as it is inherited from B, it will create, before creating or calling the constructor of C, it will create the constructor of B. But again, B is the child of A. So first of all, the constructor of child A will be invoked. What does it mean? The memory allocation for the superclass will happen first. Right now, assume that in a class we have this scenario, class A, we have certain 10 or 15 kind of elements, right? We said no, class user will have certain kind of the elements. So first memory for that superclass will be allocated. And then if we have one child class from that, then memory for that. And suppose from faculty also we have one more child class. Then after at last the child class constructor or memory allocation will happen. Is it clear? Is it clear? Can you see the output? Talking about this code. Class A, grandparent class. Class B, parent class of class C, and class C is child class. So in a driver class, if I'm creating object of child class, first it will call the constructor of class A, then class B, and then class C. Is it clear? Is it clear, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The entire chain has been like developed. We call it as a constructive chaining, right? Still, there is one more discussion, which is like uh, when we have a hierarchy. Right now, you focus on the last paragraph. The last constructor hierarchy will be created. So when you have constructors or when you have inheritance, first the base class, the first base class constructor will be invoked, and then so on. Now we have the question like when we have constructor overloading, what happens, right? So this thing we will continue in the next lecture. Like we will discuss further about what is constructor chaining and what exactly happens when we use super keyword. Fine. So today we are keeping up to this. If we recall today's session, what we have learned is we have learned the basic concept of inheritance. We studied what is inheritance, what is superclass and child class, how we can go with the simple inheritance, and we said multiple inheritance is not supported by Java, and we said that there is a super keyword which is used to invoke the superclass methods and variables and constructor, right? So there are basic three applications of super keyword: calling superclass constructor, calling superclass method, and to call to access superclass variable. This point uses of super keyword we will explore in detail next lecture, right? So next lecture will be covering this part as well as the constructor chaining. I have given a bit idea of constructor chaining, but in detail we will discuss next time. So that's it from my end for today's session. If you have any question or query, you can raise your query now. Anyone having any question, any doubt? If you have questions, please go ahead. Anyone having any doubt, any questions? Kindly acknowledge. Any doubt? Okay.